Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are across this great wide world of ours. I'm going to look into this or go into deeper about Native American and Native American culture. As many of you know, a lot of my writings and a lot of my scholarly work focuses on Native American culture. And to be honest, my great great grandmother was from Seminoles who came up into Indiana. And she changed her name to Baker, which is on my mother's side of the family. And she married my great great grandfather, Fred Baker. And so, in other words, she is part of what I consider and the Baker clan, which exists out there because there were other Bakers that are from Native American culture. And I call that the Baker clan. But I digress. And what I mean to talk about today is we we glorify how certain cultures, get certain months, and what we find about is I think we get a lot lost in translation or lost in this rationale concerning a misunderstanding of cultures. And I always have a belief that the Native American culture is the ones that are always on the bottom of the list when it comes to other cultures that had an impact across in creation in the United States, and for a good reason. There's a mistrust by Native American culture because they were always either genocide or goals that were made or treaties that were made were often broken, and we things such as the Trails of Tears and then the Indian Removal Act of the 1830s illustrate this. The Dawes Act, which was in the 1880s, which was supposed to Christianize the Native American culture. All these things were a failure to the Native American culture. And yet, folks, out of this formation of the 17th, 18th century, we created this issue of reservations and really forced Native American culture. And it's not really culture, but it's really the Native American culture would lose some of their identity to the fact that they were placed on these reservations west of the Mississippi. And this replacement caused a lot of hostility and a lot of anger because really they were taken off their native lands. They existed for thousands upon thousands of years upon white settlements, or this what used to be called this Jeffersonian farming technique that existed when Jefferson and the foundation of this country was formed. And the consequence was two things. First, there was enslavement of African American people in the South, and there was the removal of Native American culture. More as they moved more as the white settlement more westward, settlements or Native American settlements or reservations were moved westward and more westward, and this all came to a fall when wounded the Dawes Act. But there were situations like that existed, like with Blue Turtle, Tecumseh, and Tecumseh tried to form an alliance prior, during the War of 1812 to get the goals and the identity back with the Shawnee. And like I said, a lot of this occurred like in western parts of Indiana at the time, where Prophettsville, where William Henry Harrison went in there and slaughtered and massacred many of the people, Native American culture in Western Indiana, and really forced the placement or displacement, I should say, Native American culture off lands there. And like I said, this becomes an issue because it's like with the issue we talk about homelessness and the fentanyl scare, and the fact that what we're seeing here was in those situations is we got this crisis on our hand, and yet the issue becomes we try to just as a government we try to kick the situation down the line instead of impacting it head on. And the same thing happened with the Native American culture, because even though this is Black History Month, we often think of, you know, African Americans and enslavement of African Americans, but we have to always remember, and I think sometimes the African American culture has to remember this as well, is that we had Native American culture, Native Americans such as the Shawnee, the Delaware, the Cherokee, the Seminole, the Creek, forced off their lands and moved west of the Mississippi. And as settlements continued west of the Mississippi, they were even pushed more westward. So the understanding here is white settlements or white elite class is it's not evil, but it's just a misnomer. And it was like the other video I made for my other channel, is there's this bias or this loss of translation that exists, that people don't understand about another culture, and they're not cultural savvy. But then I use the same analogy today when we talk, because I'm not a big component of the NFL, because number one, the concussion protocol I don't think is really, it's just a way to whitewash the whole thing with protocol. But it's like I feel and I believe that sometimes the NFL is a new form of slavery, because you get these people that are poor, and especially African Americans that are poor, and they have a talent for athletic talent for playing a sport, and we push all this money in front of them, and yet they're the ones that they only get 3 to 5 years in the NFL. Some of them come out with brain problems or concussion protocol problems and other issues, and yet the ones that really make the money is ownership. And yet, because really they pack these stadiums up in the similarity that I often refer to as the gladiators back in the Romans' time, because the goal here was, even though that was more cruel in the fact that they were, fights to the death. This is not necessarily a fight to the death, but it actually could create life-threatening situations. And like I said, we saw this a few years ago in December with Hamlin on the Buffalo Bills. So the issue, and there was cries after that incident occurred that people could go back playing the game, which was quite evident that was flawed thinking by people. So my point here is that, as the Native American culture is often overlooked for things. And I think the issue becomes that the system we got now with the BIA is Bureau of Indian Affairs is obsolete. And we don't take into account, even though this is Black History Month, that the need to reform or reestablish a new form of the BIA, as well as the what I call the Bureau of Indian Affairs, to more or less get it up to date to the 21st, 22nd century, where we empower people to be better people. Because like I said, there's more homelessness, hopelessness. A lot of these reservations have problems with drinking water, and have issues concerning high drug use, social services, because a lot of them have casinos, but now with the online gambling, I saw, and with the post-COVID, I'm sure a lot of these reservations have lost revenue because of the online gambling and because of the casinos. And we have to come up with a solution to help the Native American culture, and not just stick more money into a situation that's obsolete and out of date. So these are some food for thoughts about, like I said, we think of this as Black History Month, but I also think of this as Native American Month as well, because these are people that have been lost in the shuffle, or lost in the conflict because of the mistrust and the misguidance that occurred with the white elite culture. So anyway, folks, these are just some food for thoughts for the day. Please like and subscribe to my channel, Native American Reservations. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, bthomasmillerpsych@gmail.com. Also, remember, I do have books available. You are on Amazon, self-published. They're under Boyd Thomas Miller and also B. Thomas Miller. And like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Anyway, I will talk to you soon and have a great day.